Right, this is page 3 now. Now this is so easy. This first one, it says briefly describe 2 steps which Harry's need to recruit the right person if it employs more people. So I'm just going to give you a list first of all of all the different stages that you could go for in the recruitment process. So you could talk about people writing a CV. You could talk about an interview. You could talk about shortlisting. Now a shortlist is when they have 1,000 applicants and then they think, well, actually we just want to interview 6. So they split that down and pick only the 6 that have the best CVs. You could talk about references. And references is when, after you maybe almost got the job, they'll go and check with your former boss to find out if you're actually lying about all the good things you said. For me, the 2 that I would most like you to talk about are a person specification. I can write that. And a job description. Right, because for me they're really easy to explain. Right, so a person specification, what does that do? It describes the sort of person you want, so you'd say that. And parts of this person specification would be things like saying what qualifications you'd expect them to have. You'd also might say what else would they want to say? What education you've done, which is kind of the same thing, really. They might also ask what your experience is. And finally, they might ask about things like personal appearance and stuff. So, that's where they describe what sort of person they want. The next bit is a job description, which is where they, not surprisingly, describe the job. So this is going to be things like how much pay it's going to be. It's going to be like the location, what duties you're likely to have to do, and what else would they say in that? To be honest, that will do. If you say those 2 and explain them a little bit, that's an easy 4 marks. On to the next bit. This is the dream. Like if this question comes up, it's as good as it gets. It says 8 marks. You're going to go so massive that you'll end up doing a little star at the end and going for more pages. But what's the key thing? You'll get excited because you're a really good class. But don't go on for too long. Don't spend like 45 minutes doing this question and then realise you haven't finished the paper. Like do maybe 8-9 minutes and then stop. Keep on going with your paper and then maybe do some more later. Anyway, different ways you could raise money to expand its business. This is that usual thing. Now they said that they got it from friends. So now you've got to think about any other things apart from family and friends. So you could say, and by the way, keyword here, evaluate. Let's go for grants. You could talk about. You could talk about loans. What else could you talk about? Selling assets. You could sell shares. But that's kind of like the one they're talking about here because they've got investors. So I don't know whether that counts as selling shares. But anyway, you'd only need 3 or 4, really. But starting off with grants. First of all, you say what it is. Then you say why it's good. So plus point. Then you say why it's bad. So for a grant is when the government gives you money to produce something. Right, so a good thing about a grant is you don't have to pay back any interest. The money's actually given to you by the government for free. The bad thing is you basically got to do whatever the government asks you to do for that. So for example, Amazon, the government gave them about 8 million to turn up in Wales. But what was the thing that they had to do? They had to set up in Wales. So they had to do exactly what the government wanted. So it's not always the best thing for you. The other downside of grants, because you might as well try and go in detail, is grants are really hard to get. Because obviously the government haven't got any money, so how can they keep on giving more and more grants to people? So loans, you say what a loan is, and don't be scared to actually say this. A loan is when you borrow money from the bank, but you have to pay back interest. Explain what it is. Don't just assume that they know. Right, the plus point is about a loan is that it can be quite quick. If you've got a good credit history, it's quite easy to get. But if you haven't got a good credit history, it's not easy to get. Then the downside, though, alone is you have to pay back interest. And also, the smaller, less successful the business you are, probably you're going to have to pay higher interest. Right, the next one is the stupid one, and this is where you sell assets. So that's where you might, like for Howie's, they might sell their shop and then might instead like rent another shop. So the plus point of doing that is you can get quick money and you can get a lot of money. So for example, if you sold your factory, if you're a company, you get loads of money quickly. Downside is you haven't got a factory anymore. And if you haven't got a factory, you're then going to have to rent another one. So in the long run, it's going to be expensive, because you're going to have an alternative to the factory that you used to own. Next, selling shares. Plus point is you can get quick capital, especially if you went on the if you became a PLC and went on the stock market. Downside is you lose control of your business. I think, if you said those four, you'd be in really good shape. You really would be. If I were you, I wouldn't go down the idea of having loans and talk about overdrafts.